Hi everybody, hope yous are all fitting well. Um, I feel alright. I'm no going back for my karate class. Went for a bath and just chilling at home. And I seen something in the news that made me want to come on and talk about it. Don't know if any's seen it, but obviously there'll be a lot of people in here who know about true crime shit and all that, otherwise why would you be watching this, know what I mean? It's not to look at my ugly mug, know what I mean? And the story was the wife and the daughter of John Gotti Jr. were arrested and charged with assault after getting into a fight at a basketball game, right? Now, as somebody who, as I explained on Sean Atwood's podcast and maybe some others, so for those of you that don't know, John Gotti Jr. is obviously the son of John Gotti, who was a very, very well known mafia boss, gangster in the kind of 60s, 70s. He was born in the 1940s, right? So, kind of World War Two time, right? But he kind of burst onto the scene in the 1980s, right? This is when he became a household name. And obviously, what he done was he kind of rose up the ranks through the mafia in New York by killing the head of the family, right? Now, I would be ages with some of John Gotti's grandsons, but the reason that I wanted to come on and talk about it is to talk about the father and son relationship um, between them, because obviously, as I've said, I remember when I was a kid, maybe about my son's age, say 12, and I don't know what it was about him. This was the time when I started kind of gone for martial arts films into like gangster films, right? And a common theme amongst people that I grew up with was, and especially people in prison, everybody can quote Scarface, The Godfather, all these fucking films, right? Because it's like what I've said before. If you were a football, if you wanted to be a football player, right, you wanted to be a fucking Rangers player, Celtic player, fucking Arsenal, Barcelona, whatever. Who are you gonna look up to? What kind of stuff are you gonna watch, and what kind of stuff are you gonna read? You're gonna read everything about whoever, Batistuta, fucking Messi, whoever, like Henrik Larsson, fucking whoever's came before you, whoever your idol, there's something about them that you just think that cunt can fucking do it. Know what I mean? So when I was a kid, about 12-year old, obviously John Gotti had also already been sent to prison for life without parole. And obviously the internet wasn't really a thing back then. It was only like just starting out, so there was no way to look him up on the web or anything. But I remember any book I found about his life, I've read them over and over and over for a young boy, right? And I would critically analyse it, and I would think about it and just think about everything this guy's done in his life, the things he says, what do they mean in the kind of environment that he grew up in. The guy had a hard life, man. His mom and dad had like fucking 13 children, and I think John Gotti Senior was in and out of care. But when I was in doing my 16 years, um, I seen that reports in the newspapers that his son, right, so before I got my 16 years, right, so we're talking 2002, 2003, 2004, so John Gotti Jr. was serving a prison sentence, right, for racketeering. I'm sure you know what that is. It's like fucking criminal activities, organised crime, just in a way they call it organised crime, right? That he pled guilty to it, right? Now, there was all this media talk that John Gotti Jr. was the new head of the Gambino family, right? But I never actually believed that, and I'm not saying that like trying to like down the guy, because I wouldn't down him for the fact that I've actually read and reread the guy's autobiography and watched a lot of his interviews on telly. So here's his autobiography, right? It's called The Shadow of My Father, right? And it's pretty well written, and there was something that actually kind of touched me a bit. Things that I never expected. As somebody like him, to kind of say and do in his life. Like, the journey the guy's been on is actually pretty remarkable for the life that he had. And when I say that, what I mean is the mafia has a rule, right? The only way you leave is in a coffin, either by gun or old age. You never retire for the mafia, right? For any that don't really know anything about the mafia structure or what they do, basically it's an organised crime family of Italian descent, right? In America, and the main ones are in New York City. So there's five, like they're called families, but they're basically gangs of hundreds of people. And basically there's like different ranks, so you can kind of climb the ranks if you want, right? No, if you want. It depends on a lot of things, like how you carry yourself, the amount of money you bring in, all that kind of shit, right? The influence you have. But John Gotti Senior he was a modern day Al Capone. There's no fucking arguing about it, and there's a lot of people that say John Gotti ruined the mafia and all this kind of shit. And when I first heard that, as somebody who'd studied this subject as a kid, to the extent where I wouldn't even need to read about it anymore, because like it's like my head's like a dictionary with some of it, know what I mean? The thing is, like, he was definitely a modern day Al Capone, and obviously I do believe he didn't do himself any favours with the way he carried himself, because the mafia, for all intents and purposes, is a secret society. You're not even supposed to acknowledge the existence of it, for the sole purpose that you're acknowledging the existence of a criminal conspiracy, which is in itself a racketeering charge. That would be like, almost like, know how in Ireland you can get like 5 years just for IRA membership. Kind of the same thing, but you don't get 5 year for mafia membership. You basically get done with what's called a RICO Act. It's a law, right? Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organisations, which was written by a fucking Columbia professor, G. Robert Blakey, in the 70s, right? And the thing is, right, he wrote this fucking law, right, because he'd watched, was it Public Enemy? I think this old gangster film for the fucking 30s or the 20s, right? And he said how come the top man always gets away in the end? It's always the small fry we catch. So what he done was, he wrote a law, right, that basically said the person that commits the act and the person he commits the act on behalf of are basically both as culpable in the criminal conspiracy charge. So say for talking's sake, that would mean, say I'm the boss and you're a foot soldier, but obviously there's a couple of middlemen that are called, they're referred to as capos. Capo is the Italian word for boss, but it's really like a lieutenant kind of structure. And basically the soldier commits the crime for the capo and passes the money to him, and he passes the money up to the top man, right? So basically what they're saying was, if we catch the soldier committing the crime, then whoever's the boss is just as chargeable, as indictable as the fucking small fry, as they would put it. So he devised this law, and the feds didn't even have a fucking clue what to do with it. This law was sitting on the books for like fucking maybe, so say it was hangweed in 76, it passed in 76, something like that, right? And then what's happened is it sat there until like, say this the 80s, right? And then they've come up with a thing called the commission trial, which was all the bosses and the right hand men got indicted in a thing called the commission case. The commission is basically all the bosses, the top bosses, right? It's like a kind of board of directors that meet to discuss policy and save a guy. Like say there's some boss wants to kill somebody but some other boss doesn't, they need to take it to the table sort of thing. And they all ended up indicted in this case. This was the first ever massive RICO case by Rudy Giuliani. I'm sure you know who that is. He started out as a lawyer, then he was a prosecutor in New York Southern District, and I think he went on to become fucking Donald Trump's lawyer, ended up getting the feds raiding him, know what I mean? No funny, is it? Your own dog biting you. But when all this has happened, the boss John Gotti's boss was actually a defendant in the commission trial, right? And while this trial was going on, John Gotti Sr. was manoeuvring behind him because the top man of the family, his right hand man, what they call an underboss, he was like John Gotti's mentor, his surrogate father, right? So there was this kind of fracture in the Gambino family where the top man wanted to kill Gotti for just all the shit he was getting up to, right? Well, no so much him, but his crew, his brother, his best pal, and the fucking all of them, they were all selling copious amounts of Class A's, and they were a force to be reckoned with. There's no fucking there's no ifs or buts about that. But because this trial was ongoing, he was holding off and holding off. But see, while he's been holding off, John Gotti has showed his Machiavellian savvy in the mafia by totally, how do I put it, like politicking through this whole family, where, and that this was heavy dangerous territory, right? See, for him to be approaching people, because as I said, the Gambino family was technically like, it was almost like two families in one by this point, and for Gotti to approach people who were on the side of the boss and get them to come out of his camp just showed how, I don't know if maybe charisma, aye, but he must have been so, I don't want to say manipulative, but obviously the guys only just going to go with him, know what I mean? He must have raised a lot of very, very good points with him. And basically what happened was they organised this guy's assassination in the middle of fucking Manhattan, like 6 days before Christmas or something. Guy was getting in a restaurant with his fucking his right hand man, and his new right hand man, because Gotti's mentor had died, right? So when Gotti's mentor had died, like a week before the murder, they've just thought, fuck this man, it's kill or be killed now. So they've killed him, but see the thing is in the mafia, the only person who can order a boss's murder is other bosses. John Gotti wasn't a boss at this point, he was a capo. So by rights, he should be killed for that. That's the law. That's their law. It's like we don't give a fuck, man. You've killed a boss. This can't happen, because then what's to stop everybody else doing it? And it just shows you the sway, how much he knew that game. He must have fucking knew. He's playing 5-dimensional chess, 4-dimensional chess, mate. Because not only did they go to all the other people in his own family, he also sent them, once he got them on board, to approach the people in the other families who were about to take her once the other bosses went to prison. And apparently they were all kind of saying, we don't give a fuck, do what you have to do. And a couple of them, I believe, turned a blind eye, right? And there was one guy who said, he's on a mob podcast, right? And he said, anybody who, so there was one boss who he hated John Gotti with a passion. His name was Chin Gigante, right? He used to walk about in his fucking bathrobe and his slippers, kidding on he was fucking cuckoo, but he was anything but cuckoo, man. I think he was probably one of the few people that John Gotti knew he had to be very careful with, because he had to, this guy was John Gotti's main rival. There's no doubt about it. He was older than him as well. He'd been about longer, and so very, very dangerous man. And what had ended up happening was, after John Gotti had murdered his boss, Chin Gigante got together with this other boss who was about to go to jail for the commission case, and what they done was planted a fucking bomb under his pal's motor, because they had inside info for a couple of guys in the Gambinos that who weren't really on board with Gotti. They were Sicilians, but Gotti is like Neapolitan for Naples. So it would be like Glasgow and Edinburgh kind of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where, but say you're part of the same structure, but you're for Glasgow, they're for Edinburgh, but you're arguing or shit, and it's like, do you know what I mean? Say somebody for Edinburgh is a top man, but somebody for Glasgow gets them murdered, and then Glasgow takes over. It would be like that. Obviously, people for Edinburgh are going to be like, here, what we fucking putting up with this shit for? Do you know what I mean? You got to expect that. Factions, know what I mean? But the bomb went off, and it wasn't even got in the motor, but the guy in the motor was obviously fucking blown to smithereens, you know what I mean? There was nothing left of him. And obviously John Gotti's been getting in and out of prison this whole time. He's been getting, that's how he was called, ended up getting called the Teflon Don, because he'd been to 3 trials, right? The first one was a major racketeering trial, and he won it, but he'd bribed the jury 60 grand, right? Some cunt in the jury took a pay off, right? You got to expect that for somebody like that, you know what I mean? I dare say, if I was in his shoes and a juror reached out to me, I'm taking that. It's my fucking job. It's what you say, I'm a criminal, it's my job to do. I used to, you see that guy used to say that in the jail. He used to say, when I asked him something, like, what did you do, whatever for, blah blah blah, and I go, I'm a criminal, it's my job. Your job's to catch me, do you know what I mean? That's your job and this is my fucking job, you know what I mean? But it's just like playing chess, isn't it? But anyway, obviously the mayor, because he had these kind of movie style looks. No, I don't know if any's ever kind of, there was a thing on Netflix about him, but there wasn't really anything on it that was new, to be honest with you, but I suppose because this generation growing up probably haven't heard him. It was the same with that kind of Jeffrey Dahmer thing on Netflix. Half the people running about here probably hadn't heard him. Like, I'm talking about people maybe weren't they born then. I'm not talking about people my age, I'm talking about people who weren't born when this case happened. Do you know what I mean? And obviously it would be interesting, like, because everybody loves the kind of gangster yarn, do you know what I mean? Like, fucking. So I remember the first time I seen Goodfellas, man, in my pal's house. I was just fucking. I was mesmerised. I was only 12 years old, you know what I mean? I was just completely mesmerised, like. But I was saying that he's next. So all these kind of different factions of law enforcement have just been choking to get him, right? They can. It's what that Netflix thing was called, Get Gotti. It's kind of get the catchy title and all that, right? But some of their cases were just. One of them was an assault charge, man. He'd fucking cracked somebody about for uh, arguing with his power a double parked motor, right? And I saw an assault charge, man. He worked for that. There was another one. Some guy got shot, and he was recorded speaking about it, but the recordings were fucking. They weren't that good. It's kind of garbled because I've heard them, right. They're kind of garbled. If there wasn't any subtitles, you wouldn't know what the fuck he was saying. So then you have to question the subtitles of the person that's listening to it. Is like, is that what he said? But do you know what I mean? Because sometimes the law would hear what it wants to. Do you know what I mean? Fuck, we're all human at the end of the day. Nobody's infallible. But it was obviously around about this time he's been grooming his son, John Jr., who was born in 1964 actually, so he's a year older than my mum and dad. My mum and dad were born in 1965, so but so he had 5 kids, right? He had 2 daughters and 3 sons. Tragically, his middle son um was actually run over and killed by a neighbour in the neighbourhood. He was out on a scooter or something, or a bike, and guys coming home from his work fucking drove right into him, know what I mean? Fucking shame. But the guy obviously disappeared, never been heard from again. I suppose if you were involved in that life and you had the means, I dare say it would cross your mind. Well, it would cross my mind. You know what I mean? If I was living a lifestyle like that, and anybody who tells you it wouldn't cross their mind, I don't believe that for a fucking second. Even if you weren't a mob boss, if somebody had killed your kid, whether it was accident or no, know what I mean? But anyway, um, the oldest son John actually was at military academy and all that. But he's ended up kind of obviously hanging around his dad a lot and all that. But he ended up getting inducted into the mafia. I think it was the late 80s, 1988 or something. And so John Gotti's went to prison in 1990 for like the last time. That's sure you're fucked now. This is when Sammy the Bulls ended up turning on him and giving evidence. So that was that trial, but that was when it kind of thrust John Jr. into the kind of limelight, as like the newspapers were. Gotti Jr.'s the fucking new hit. He was too young. He was barely 30-year-old. That wouldn't fucking. Obviously, he's gone to visit his dad in the jail and meeting lawyers and passing messages. that puts him in a position, a significant position. Doesn't mean you're the boss. His dad's the fucking boss until he decides to abdicate or he dies. That's the only way. Or if, do you know what I mean? Whether he dies in fucking jail or somebody kills him, doesn't matter. The thing is with the mafia is you're the boss until you die or retire. So he obviously had made his son, like, promoted him, gave him his own kind of crew and all that. So obviously he's kind of grooming him to have a significant position, but apparently there was a lot of kind of older guys who were kind of upset about it. But I dare say, if I was one of them, I would have been like that. No mean nothing bad. I would have been like, fucking let him be up front. Let the paper say he's the boss. It means we can run about and get away with fucking murder. You know what I mean? Because it's like you seen The Sopranos, right? If any of you have ever seen The Sopranos, right? So Uncle Junior's the boss, but he's a figurehead. Tony's the one doing everything. Tony's the one that's fucking in ball deep. Junior's sitting at home fucking watching fucking Matlock or something. Do you know what I mean? Sitting playing checkers. Tony's out fucking hanging about strip clubs, murdering people, counting money. Fuck. Oh, Jesus. Oh, but you get my point. So I do believe that his son was kind of thrust into it a bit. But at that age and you're in that life, and he had a lot of dangerous guys around him as well. There's not the total stone cold killers around him who were his dad's pals. They weren't John Junior's pals, they were his dad's pals. One of them, his name was Charles Caniglia, right? Guy was a maniac. They think that they actually suspect him of being basically like a serial killer, basically. Like going through the ritual, you know what I mean? Like fucking chopping bodies up, dissolving them in acid, fucking throwing bones at his pals in restaurants, like dropping bones in their fucking burgers, not like as if haha just that's been sorted. Do you know what I mean? Like fuck's sake. Total, that's another level. But when the dad went to jail, obviously, and the son was running about, he's been kind of just had a pure target in his back for not only the FBI and that, but also the like Chin Gigante was had a guy for another family. His name is Gaspipe, right? This guy was an absolute fucking maniac. If he'd a dream, they say if he'd a dream that you were a snitch, he would wake up and organise your murder. Total maniac, yeah, guy, man. And he was trying to get to John Gotti Jr. because, see, but know how I was telling you about the bomb that gets set off? Well, Gaspipe Castle was actually one of the guys that was actually involved in that, on the ground, on the scene. And what was it? So people would try to shoot well, not try to shoot him, they did fucking shoot him. Drove up, blasted fuck out him and all, but I escaped. And he caught one of the guys because he had two bent coppers on his payroll, two Italian coppers on his payroll who had, like, one of them had mafia connections. They were called the mafia cops. And they've caught the shooter, the main one, abducted him, kidded on they were arresting him, took him away, delivered him to this nutter, tortured him, and he basically said the guy who he named was like John Gotti's best pal. There is no way this guy would have, there is no way John Gotti wouldn't have known this if this guy done that, obviously, but he's got plausible deniability. It's like when The government sends an assassin out to say, but if you get caught, we'll deny all knowledge of you. We'll deny even knowing you. It's the kind of same deal. And that's what happened. But when John Gotti Senior went to jail, he was making sure he was trying everything to kill his son, but he ended up getting gas pipe got captured and all. But what ended up happening with John Gotti Jr., eventually he got done with a racketeering charge. Went to jail for 6 months. No, 6 years, sorry, sentenced to 6 years, 6 months, fuck's it. When he got out of bed for that. And when he was finishing his sentence, they hit him with a new indictment, so they just kept hitting him with indictments. They were grinding him down. I mean, it's called diesel therapy. See, in America, right now how we say here, you're getting told you're getting moved somewhere, they just ship you. It's like America, they just turn up at your door at 3 in the morning, here, get dressed, you're coming with us, fucking you on a bus, driving you from New York to fucking Montana, like the full length of America. You're just like, ah, fucking hell. Yeah, man, I sit in a Reliance van going from Berlin to fucking Glasgow Sheriff or Glasgow High. That's fucking brutal enough. Your arse is killing you sitting on the fucking seats. You imagine driving for fucking like New York to fucking Montana or Oklahoma. You're just sitting there like, mate, I'll sign the sorry book, you know. Know what I mean? And when I read that book, Shadow of My Father, if you've not read it and you're into that kind of shit, read it. The shit that guy went through, they were trying to get him to cooperate. And I see that there's people online who say, John Gotti Jr.'s a snitch, John Gotti Jr.'s a rat. Well, John Gotti Jr. gave information. Well, the information that he gave, the statements he gave, I've read it. I've read them. It's 5 pages, right? And basically, what he's giving information on is basically murders, 2 murders or something, right? And see everybody involved in all these murders, they're all dead. They're already dead. Nobody's in jail for them. Nobody's been arrested. So ask yourself, is he? I don't know, but see what really comes across in that book. How much that guy loves his blood family. He walked away from the mob for his relatives because even though there was guys still wanting to kill him and everything, he was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, man. And even the FBI had recordings of him saying how sicky the mafia was. He hates every cunt in it. They're all fucking bams and all that, right? And they still fucking charged him like they were trying to grind him down, because you imagine the fuck you to John Gotti Senior's legacy it would be to get his son to turn. Like, he could decimate that family the way Sammy Gravano done it. I dare say if he did flip, but he didn't, and see what he went through, man. Fucking pissing gallstones out and can't even get to the surgery, and getting shipped from jail to jail to jail, putting underground cells, not even getting a fucking haircut, not even allowed a razor. Like, they were, I mean, this isn't even the half of the shit they were doing to him. And it's remarkable. It really is what that guy went through without cracking. And I do know there's some people obviously who are like, they say shit about him, like, he's a snitch and all that, but at the end of the day, man, like, see when you finally see the light, not in a religious way, what I mean is, when you see how fucked up and shite that whole lifestyle is, I don't care if it's the mafia or if it's Glasgow, Manchester, and you realise your love for your family, your desire to be with your loved ones, who've already been through so much fucking shit, with your whole family going to jail, getting murdered, you just go, no, what, fuck this shit. I don't care what anybody fucking calls me, call me anything you want. my family, my kids are what matters. My kids are nae fucking gonna grow up without their dad the way I grew up without my dad. Do you know what I mean? I understand that. Especially the fact that what he was talking about, because I'm well versed with the people he's talking about in the FBI 302s. A 302 is basically like you a statement, and everybody in this statement is dead. They're all dead. What's got to happen to them? Like, and ask yourself, if you're going to judge me for saying that, ask yourself, if you knew for a fact you could get out of a life sentence, life without parole, right, and say you knew one of your dad's pals done a murder, you knew it was him, and you knew if you get that statement, it would do something for you, would you do it? But the thing is, it didn't even do nothing for him, because he still get took to fucking trial. This statement was given January 2005. He got charged in, he got out in, was it 2006? I think he got bailed in 2006, and I know what happened, right? And I remember seeing this on Sky News in Shorts jail, right? John Gotti Jr.'s been arrested on fucking 3 murder charges or something. But the thing is, when he was on trial for a year or something, and I remember it was December 2009, like December the 1st 2009, he got found not guilty. So he said, like, he's walked for more trials than he's done now, and it was like Teflon Jr., that's what the headline said. And I remember his defence was he's left the mob, but I'm not going to lie, I was sceptical. I was like, no chance, man. But see, when I read that book, and obviously this is over 10 years ago now, so we're talking maybe 14 years ago, he walked out of prison for the last time. And when I read that book, I was just like, that guy's changed his life, changed his perspective. He's totally, he's left the whole lifestyle behind. Even though he's died, he's kind of walked him into it. And I actually watched a prison recording of a visit between the two of them, sitting at each end of a table, like facing each other. And the dad was riddled with cancer. John Gotti Sr. was riddled with cancer, man. Like half his fucking jaw was missing and all that. And you can tell if you know the way these guys speak, there's a way of speaking that's kind of coded and all that, and the way they're talking, and you can just see, man, I think deep down his dad wasn't going to let him off lightly, but I think he understood. I think he understood what his son was saying. He was just saying, everybody, our whole fucking family's in jail doing life. The ones that aren't doing life are waiting for lifers. What's the fucking point? Do you know what I mean? And what is the fucking point? And his ma's a legend. Victoria, man, she's a legend. She was turning up at the trials all the fucking time. I think she was in her 70s, Bren, do you know what I mean? But she wasn't giving a fuck, man, do you know what I mean? Just, it's her son. She was kicking off in the courtroom, and they were fucking taking jurors off that they felt maybe could have swayed the case. No swayed it in a bad way, but maybe were sympathetic, because see some of the witnesses they were putting on, it was like some of Gotti Senior's cases, man. They were just guys you wouldn't trust with a fucking toothbrush, you know what I mean? Just fucking that American legal system's something else, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like they fucking railroad you in a minute. No saying the guys nobody's completely innocent in that life. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, it's high level organised crime shit, so I dare say they've all got a couple of murders on them, do you know what I mean? But it just made me, when I watched that interview, it just made me, my heart kind of went out to him a bit, if I'm honest. And when I read that book, my heart really did go out to the guy, man. It was pretty because I never expected this the son to be so. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. And if you go in 60 minutes, you can actually watch a 3-part interview that he gives, and it comes across differently than what I would have thought. Do you know what I mean? I thought he would have just been say like fucking like an arsehole basically, but he comes across pretty like well, and the guy just loved his dad, wanted to be his dad, and then realised before it was too late. Well, don't want to say, maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but he came through it was like Dante's Inferno. He made it to paradise, you know, which was, Inferno was the mob shit, Purgatory was like the legal system, the prison, and then he waded through all that shit and got to the paradise level, which was, if any have read Dante's Divine Comedy, the top level paradiso is heaven basically, whereas he's living with his family happily now. And funnily enough, John Gotti Jr.'s son is a cage fighter, funnily enough. Don't know, well, he took Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match, but didn't do too good, man. That Floyd Mayweather was fucking, it's Floyd Mayweather, in it. You know what I mean? But I don't know if they've got a rematch or what. But it's a money maker for them, man. They can turn their fucking horn to anything. Do you know what I mean? But then the other night, I'm sick because I watch a lot of kind of. I subscribe on YouTube to a lot of like American news channels just to see what the fuck's going on. I just find it interesting. Links into all my geography shit and all that. And I sees John Gotti Jr.'s wife and daughter arrested for brawling at a basketball game. They were charged with assault because John Gotti Jr. has a son and a daughter who play basketball. Now, the daughter who plays basketball was at a basketball game with her ma watching her brother playing, right? And some woman was in the crowd shouting shit and all that, and it's just kicked off. I'll put a link in the description, man. You can check it out if you want to watch it. And it was caught, obviously, you know what it's like with these fucking phones these days, you know what I mean? You can't even do a fucking piss without somebody videoing, you know what I mean? And they were charged with assault, and I was like, for fuck's sake, man, anything they do, like, it's not even, see, because it's just got their name on it, it's not going to get treated, obviously it's not an organised crime thing, but it's like, lawyers make their fucking names on cases like that. I don't think anything will happen to them, you know what I mean? But like anything fucking too serious anyway, because they've got money behind them, you know what I mean? They're wealthy, do you know what I mean? So, because I remember I can't mind how long ago it was I wanted to come on and do a video about John Gotti, but I just never bothered. I ended up doing, fuck knows what I ended up doing, it was something else. Know what it's like, you know what I mean? But that's that. But I'm glad to be kind of out of my wee rut I was in, man. And MD watching this, it's gone through, man. No matter who you are, you'll get through it. Don't worry. Some people that I think about, maybe, even though I shouldn't, I don't know, but you just feel for a lot of people. As I was saying to somebody today, we were talking about something. I think it was somebody in my karate, and it was this woman who her boy goes to Christopher school, and while they're in karate, we just sit and talk. An Asian woman, and we were saying how I was saying how like years ago, like I didn't care who you were, what you done to me. There was a different, obviously there's different levels, but like either I wouldn't talk to you again or I would attack you, or whatever it was, right? And I was saying how when I'm older, you just understand me, and it kinda does my fucking nothing, because some things I don't think the old me would just never understand. I wouldn't want to, but I just find myself understanding a bit too much. It's like empath, know what I mean? It's like, or maybe it was that fucking psychology degree, fuck knows what it was, but it's like walking through people's shoes. It's just no good sometimes, because I walk through so many people's shoes a lot of the time in my mind that it gets to me sometimes, but I always get through it. So I hope yous are all good, and I hope that was interesting. I'm going to go and kick back and watch the telly in my room. But if any's want to check that book out, I would advise it. You can get it on Amazon, Shadow of My Father. It was written by John Gotti Jr. It's very, very interesting, especially if you've read kind of any organised crime shit in America. It is a good read as well. So check it out if you want to. But cheers for listening. And I'll maybe see you tomorrow. So good night, everybody. Take care.